then drop them jaws. I know what you want. I ask myself, is this shit real?
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys the best way to work with gel polish. I know gel still gets a bad rep because it just tends to be a little bit messy, or if you really don't work in thin layers, it can look really bulky, or it'll sometimes even make you lose your shape that you work so hard on if you're not careful with it. So I want to be explaining to you guys why I use it, how I use it, and just to make sure you're still getting your set still looks cute even though you're going to use a gel polish. So what I do is I'm using this D&D polish. I've had this polish for a couple years if you can't tell. But what I do is I start off with very, very thin layers. Unfortunately, that means you'll have to do multiple coats. And I think that's where the issue comes in. I think that sometimes when you try to do one big thick coat or two thick coats to get the most coverage, it starts to look, messy and not as smooth. So I use very thin layers of gel, and I do have to do 3 coats of it, but it just works best that way. So I'm really just using this first coat to just basically cover the nail. It's going to still look see-through. It's not going to be 100% covered, but this first coat's purpose is only just to get this polish to cover the nail. And then when I work on my second and my third coat, then I'm looking for coverage and trying to make sure that the color is really covering the nail. But this first coat is definitely necessary to do very thin because you want it to look super natural. So that's what I'm doing first. I want to just go ahead and do the super thin coat on all the nails, and then I will come back for that second coat. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the second coat. This one I am going to leave a little bit of the polish on my brush. I don't want to wipe it completely clean because I am trying to now cover the full nail. Because after this I only want to do one more coat, but I still want to keep it thin enough so where it allows me to do only one more coat, if that makes sense. So it's still not going to be 100% coverage, but it's basically a step closer to working your way towards that. And also another tip, I always make sure that I kind of wipe the sides of my nail, and that's going to also help you with your shape. You'll maybe see me do it a few times throughout the video. But yeah, that's definitely a really good tip to continue to do while working with gel because it does let you keep your shape. So the second coat is kind of giving us 75% coverage because you still want to keep it more on the thin side. Okay, so here's my third and final coat. This one I am looking for 100% coverage, and even though I'm going to use a little bit more, so each coat I'm going to use a little bit more, and that also is possible because we did 2 thin coats first. So if you want your third one to be a little bit thicker than the rest, that is completely fine because you do have that leeway from using thin coats before. And I just find that this works best for me. I know people try to stray away from gel because it can look, like I said in the beginning, very messy, and an acrylic is a cleaner look. But in my opinion, acrylic is still as messy because colored acrylics have the dye in it is just way too pigmented, and it can stain your skin around it. So I just prefer to sometimes just to keep it simple and then go in with gel. It's more versatile. I can do a fill-in. I can just take this off, which is how I get the most out of my sets without having to do a full soak off, and that's what you guys can see. So it works for me. I hope this gives you guys a few tips so you guys can keep working with gel like I do. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.
Like the narco. narco. Got dope like Pablo. Cut dope like Pablo. Cut dope. Chop trees with the Draco. On the north got Diego. Say I still